The following is a Shaw TV special presentation.
It is my pleasure to introduce His Worship, Charlie Clark. Charlie Clark was elected Mayor of Saskatoon in October 2016. Previous to that, he was Ward 6 City Councillor for 10 years. His professional background is in the areas of mediation, education, and community economic development. Mayor Clark has been part of a nationwide conversation about the key role cities play as engines of innovation and in ensuring quality of life for all of its citizens. He has presented nationally at conferences on affordable housing, urban development, policing, and community safety issues. He is committed to work with the talent and resilience of Saskatoon people to be the city that gets it right. He is married to Sarah Buehler, a law professor at the University of Saskatchewan, and they have 3 children, Simon, Ben, and Rachel. Please join me in welcoming Mayor Clark.
Thank you very much, Darla. And I'd like to thank everybody for joining me and our council here on the 107th day of January to have the State of the City address. And I would like to remind us that it will be 16 degrees on Saturday, according to the weather forecast. So we are resilient people, and we will get our way through this weather and make the best of it. So here we are, as mentioned, gathered on Treaty 6 territory on the homeland of the Métis people. And as mentioned, I'm here with a number of my colleagues from City Council. And so I'd like to mention each of you, and if you could each stand up as I do, just because you all do such important work, and it's a chance for everybody to see who represents you on City Council. So from Ward 2, we have Hilary Goff, who is our council lead on community safety and wellness. From Ward 3, yes. We have Councillor Wanchuk, who is our council lead on core services. From Ward 4, we have Troy Davies, who is our council lead on recreation, culture, and leisure. He may not have made it today. He is very busy with still dealing with some of the aftermath of the Humboldt Broncos tragedy, I know. We have Ward 5, representing by Rondi Donauer, who is our lead on regional planning. Ward 6, Cynthia Block, who is our council lead on downtown development. Ward 7, Maren Lowen, who is the lead on environmental sustainability and works with. She co-leads with Serena Gersher from Ward 8, also environmental sustainability. And we also have from Ward 9, Bev Dubois, who is the council lead on transportation. As you see, similar to the Chamber Board, a good balance of women and men on our council that we're very proud of. I want to tell you all that this has been a great group of people to work with over the last 15 months. And I need to tell you also that being a city councillor in a city that is growing and changing like ours is no small task. And you all can be proud of the dedication that you have from your city councillors in this city. I also want to greet Reeve of Corman Park, Judy Harwood, who has been a very important partner on our growth plan that we've been working on regional planning. Well, thank you for coming. We had Chief Bobby Cameron was here to say hello as part of this, but he had to leave to deal with some family matters. And all the other dignitaries and leaders that have been mentioned, presidents, chiefs, community leaders, you're all tremendous community leaders in our community, and I thank you for coming. We have a number of our city management and staff here who we all rely on every day to run our city. And I want to tell you that we all together as a city benefit from having an incredibly talented and dedicated group of people providing the services that we rely on every day to run our great city. So thank you and let's give a hand to our city staff who are here representing the community. And Darla, I want to thank you and your great team, Roz, Terry, Linda, Kendra, Molly at the Chamber of Commerce for hosting us, as well as Kelly, the board chair. Darla, this is your first State of the City address of you being in this role, and I want to take a chance to say that I've just seen how much you've jumped into your role as the CEO and president of the Chamber, rolled up your sleeves and become very engaged in our community. And I've been very impressed at this level of engagement and the many facets of the life of our community that you've been involved with. So thank you and welcome again. and to Sarah, my wife, who was mentioned earlier, who's here with us today and doesn't get out very often together with me, but it's great to have you here, Sarah. And I want to tell you all, it's been quite an adventure as a family for me to be in this role and for Sarah to be building her career as a law professor and raising our 3 kids, Simon, Ben, and Rachel. It just would not be possible for me to be in this role without Sarah having to be very adaptive and, and supportive of the demands on me to keep up with this great community. One of the last times, and this was already mentioned earlier, but one of the last times that Sarah and I got out together was when Michelle Obama came to town, that the Chamber hosted Michelle Obama. And it was pretty cool to meet her and to hear what she had to say about her journey of being in a family that went into political leadership and making the decision to run and becoming involved in politics and then adjusting to that as a family. And when we got introduced, because we were a part of the group that got to meet Michelle Obama personally, the handler who was there turned Michelle's attention to Sarah and I, and she said, "This is the mayor of Saskatoon. And this is Sarah Buehler, his wife." And Michelle turned to me and said, "Hello, nice to meet you," and was very friendly. And then she turned to Sarah and said, "Another First Lady," and just gave her a big hug. And they talked for a couple of minutes, and she had her entirely cased as another woman who was a lawyer putting up with a politician husband while raising a family. And as far as everybody was concerned, I was standing there as chopped liver. And Sarah didn't stop smiling for a few days. She'd have a chance to bond with another First Lady. It was wonderful. And before getting into some of the other issues of the city, I want to talk a bit about the Humboldt Bus Crash that has affected our community so much, sending shockwaves through our city, our province, and our world. We hear of tragedies like this in other parts of the world, and we sense the devastation, but we don't have the connections to the real lives and people to make it real. And then it lands right in our own backyard. The Friday night of the bus crash, when the news was coming in about just how terrible the accident was, I happened to be out on a ride-along with the Saskatoon Police Service, C Platoon. And as I went on calls and visited members in dispatch and detention, and talked to the different members of C Platoon, and heard about just how devastating this crash was, I also heard from the officers that I met about their own connections to this team, the players, the coaches, and the experiences they'd had in this interconnected hockey world. Within moments of the event happening, the way that the team was intertwined in our province was being revealed. So what can we say about a tragedy like this? Where does it leave us? I don't think I can say any better than one of the parents, Curtis Camrood, who is the father of Braden. I contacted him a couple days after Braden came home from the hospital to ask how I could help. And this is what he wrote to me in a text message. "Last Friday was the worst day of our lives. We pulled up to the scene. It was a catastrophe. When we got the news that our son survived, we cried endlessly. We are so blessed. Our son is home. However, our pain and our hearts are broken. We lost beautiful friends and teammates. Charlie, if I could ask for anything at all, it would be only one thing. Please hug your beautiful wife, Sarah, and your children 1 second longer every day. Hugs have helped us get through this. Our community, our province, our country have been nothing less than amazing. We are blessed to live among the kindest people of the world. I've gone back over that message many times and read through it. And I've had a chance to talk to the other parents in Saskatoon, Scott and Laurie Thomas, on the night of the memorial in Humboldt, and then again yesterday at the memorial for Evan Thomas, where thousands of our community gathered. And also Tanya and Paul LaBelle, who are with their son Xavier on a long road to recovery. And the message is the same. Cherish the moments that we have and the family and the friends and the community that we live in. And recognize how lucky we are. The way that this community has rallied to support these families in this terrible tragedy is unbelievable. And I want to thank everybody who has helped, from first responders to healthcare workers, counselors, people raising funds, people cooking food, people driving, people helping out in every different way. You have brought out the best in our community and remind us that we are blessed to live here. Now is our time to make the best of what we have and build a good future for Braden and Xavier and all of the young people growing up in our community and our province, which takes us to this important work of city building, where we put our children in the center and ask, what will we do as the community leaders today to ensure a good future for the generations to come? I get 4 chances to make a State of the City address as mayor. This is number 2. I don't take it lightly. It's my chance to take stock of where we are at this moment and what the key challenges and opportunities that we face as we look out onto the horizon. There are many, many initiatives in our city, and I won't get a chance to touch on all of them today. I want to talk about 3 key dimensions today about our community that I believe are going to be critical for us to focus on if we're going to ensure that we're successful into the future. And I'm sorry to disappoint, but fire pits is not one of them. The first dimension that I want to talk about is the bricks and mortar, the city that we build, and the planning that we do to design and build a thriving prairie city for the 21st century. The second dimension is our economy and how we need to ensure that we position Saskatoon to create good jobs in a changing global economy. And the third dimension is our people. How do we ensure that everyone in our growing, diverse city has the opportunities of the economy extended to everybody? So let's start with talking about the city we're building. There's actually a lot of talk right now in urban planning about mid-sized cities. Jennifer Keesmaat, who's a former chief planner of the City of Toronto, recently wrote an article in Maclean's magazine about how cities like Halifax and Saskatoon are uniquely positioned in Canada to innovate in urban design and livability, especially given the growing unaffordability and traffic snarls in other cities like Vancouver, Toronto, Calgary. Her quote is, mid-sized Canadian cities present a new possibility for urban living. Reworked and redesigned, rather than struggling to retain and attract young people, they too could be exploited to serve the aspirations of 21st century living. Keesmaat challenges cities like ours to be aspirational in curbing urban sprawl, to strategically redevelop the city core, to create diverse mixed-use districts, convenient and efficient modern transportation systems, and a strong vision for design creativity. As mayor, I've seen that the way that we will build this kind of city is to first build relationships and then build partnerships. We need to be willing to reach out to people who think differently, not be afraid of building unexpected alliances, and focus on the common ground, because this is what we are doing and we need to do to continue to solve the challenges that we face. For example, we didn't allow an assumption that the Orem of Corman Park would disagree with us to stop us from starting a regional plan together. And now, our region is leading the province in regional planning, whereas we work with Corman Park, Martinsville, Warman, and Osler to drive a thoughtful and innovative growth plan towards 700,000 people. This seemed unthinkable 5 years ago. Am I right, Reeve Harwood? We didn't think we could get there, but we persevered, found the common ground, and we got there. And I attribute your leadership a great deal to helping us to get there. In this community, we knew there were growing frustrations in their development community about how long things were taking to get development happening and how complicated it was to get projects started, and the challenges in particular of getting infill development and development in the downtown. So we reached out, our staff, our council, through the home builders and the Saskatoon Construction Association. And now we have a better understanding of the barriers within the city's processes that can be improved, and a plan to address them through the Cut the Red Tape initiative, and a number of recommendations that we have already begun to implement. The key to this work has been to break down barriers in communication, be willing to think outside the box, and I want to thank our staffs, our partners, and everybody involved for the work that you've been doing on this effort. And I see Brent Penner from downtown Saskatoon here, and you've been absolutely key to that as well, and I thank you. We wanted to work more closely with the University of Saskatchewan, and we recognized that we weren't working as closely as we could together. So we invited the administrators and department heads from both the city and the university to come together and identify opportunities to partner. Through that work, we've identified over 92 different ideas on how we can work together and initiate change together. And we now have a formal memorandum of understanding to frame this work together. And I appreciate President Stoichev being here and the leadership that you provided on that as well. Thank you. We know we're at a crucial stage for growth in our city. And the rubber is hitting the road with the growth plan that we've been developing for several years. In the weeks to come, right in front of us, we'll be looking at the detailed design options for the bus rapid transit system. We've been engaging with businesses and the public in a comprehensive way to get this right. We have the Ramey Modern Art Gallery that's opened up, and we have Scott Verity, the chair of the board of the Ramey Art Gallery, and I thank you for your incredible work in helping us to get that forward, along with many other people. We have River Landing. We have the opportunity for a new downtown library, a school of architecture, the rejuvenation of Riversdale, renewed interest in the north downtown that we've just been talking about in recent weeks. We have tremendous potential here. I know many of you are probably wondering, well, what's he going to say about an arena? I'll say this, we need all these pieces together to make this work. We need to see the building of an arena convention facility as part of an integrated understanding of a thriving downtown. We won't have a successful downtown arena without a more efficient and convenient transit system. A BRT will be critical. It also won't be successful if it's not part of a downtown district that has activity 365 days a year through all seasons, including whatever season this is. And of course, we need to figure out how an arena and convention facilities will be paid for that doesn't put an undue burden on our property taxes. And it's a challenge I put out to our whole community. How do we get there? Our city building will have to be ambitious and practical at the same time. And we're going to need this same kind of collaboration, innovation, and problem solving to tackle the challenges of building a more sustainable city together. It's time to get over the false dichotomy of environmental progress and economic progress. We need to be ambitious about finding that intersection between the green economy, job creation, and technological innovation. Our council is focused on building new partnerships in renewable energy development, building efficiency, waste diversion, and conservation. We have a tremendous opportunity to build a thriving and sustainable Prairie City by inviting the best ideas and collaborating to bring them to life in our community. The second dimension I want to talk about is our economy. Because we can build all the roads, arenas, and bridges and fix all the potholes we want, but it won't matter if we don't have a resilient economy that's creating good jobs for our residents. We're going to need to apply the same approach to innovation, problem solving, and collaboration to position Saskatoon in a rapidly changing global economy. And thanks to many of you, we've shown resilience through some rough years of a downturn. Forecasts are predicting that we're going to see annual job growth about 2% over the next 2 years. Our population is forecast to grow on the average of 2.3% over the next year. Today, Saskatoon's and region's economy is worth about $18 billion, 1/3 of the entire provincial economy. And this is thanks to the resilience and confidence of many of you who have helped us weather through some tough times. And to many of the new entrepreneurs who are helping to bring energy into our city and putting Saskatoon on the map. Just a few examples of how we are getting on the map right now. The New York Times, on their 52 places to visit in 2018, is one of the most prestigious travel lists in the world. And as you know, this year we're ranked number 18. And I saw Todd Brandt from tourism here, and I know they did a tremendous amount of work, and I thank you for that. We're looking forward to New York Times coming, and we're going to show off our city in the weeks and months to come. We are on Canada's hottest new food city list. We are named as Canada's hottest new food city in Food and Wine magazine. And in Family Fun Canada, they ask, which Canadian prairie city is all the rage in 2018? It's us. Why are we all the rage? Because we're punching above our weight. Here in Saskatoon, we have companies and researchers and entrepreneurs who are focused on solving the problems that the world is facing. As long as people need to eat, we have our agricultural sector with companies like Nutrien and AGT Foods doing world-leading innovation in crop sciences. And I want to say it's a priority for me as mayor to ensure that Nutrien maintains its home base here and to see the future of the company well rooted here, from its head office jobs to research and development to the supply chain. The recent announcement of the protein supercluster in Saskatchewan is another sign of our global relevance. We're providing the plant-based proteins that are becoming increasingly necessary in a hungry world. As Murad Al-Khatib likes to say, as the world approaches 10 billion people, they're not all going to be able to eat hamburgers. We are going to play a key role in feeding a hungry world. We have companies and scientists working here to drive innovations in water security, in healthcare, in energy development, drawing the world's attention like never before. At the city, we're working with the companies and the research institutions and the education sector to build this advantage and continue to foster growth in these fields. We know that an important part of our future is the tech economy. And we're seeing promising signs right now in our tech economy. Look at some of the examples of acquisitions and investments that have been raising eyebrows right across the continent just in the last year. Solido Designs acquisition by Siemens International. International Road Dynamics acquisition by Quarterhill. And some of the significant investments in our local startup companies like Vendasta, Coconut Calendar, 7 Shifts, and Skip the Dishes. I hear over and over again in discussions and forums about Saskatoon's surprising role in the tech sector, about our quality of life, the quality of our talent, and the spirit of collaboration that exists here that's helping us to punch above our weight and grow companies right here on this soil. This approach has helped many of us succeed to build a strong community, which leads me to the third dimension I wanted to talk about building a successful city into the future. We can build a great city, and we can position ourselves well in the global economy, but we won't be successful unless we ensure that this collaboration and opportunity extends to everybody in our increasingly diverse community. And we have work to do, because every city right now is working to figure out how to build societies where people come together instead of being torn apart. And as we become more diverse, Saskatoon is no different. People have moved to our city from all over the province and all over the world seeking opportunity. As mayor, I get to meet with many communities, and I see the hope that exists in people hoping to build a good life here. If we can make progress on ensuring everybody has a part to play, it will help us solve many of our other challenges. And today I want to focus on one area in particular where we are failing and what we need to do to turn this around. I believe we need to commit as a community, as a city, to support more youth to graduate high school and break the cycle of youth incarceration. Because for all the gains we're making in Saskatchewan, we also have the most young people in jail rather than graduating from high school. In Saskatchewan, our youth incarceration rate is twice the national average. Right now, graduation rates for Indigenous youth from high school are about half of those of non-Indigenous students. And on average, 90% both male and female inmates in our correctional facilities are Indigenous. A couple of months ago, I had a chance to go and visit the correctional center here in Saskatoon with Tribal Chief Mark Arkan. And we sat and talked with 2 groups of young men about their lives and their experiences and their prospects of getting out of jail. The more we talked about it, the more clear it was how their circumstances were formed early in life, and once the cycle began, it was very hard to get out. A cycle fed by addictions, intergenerational trauma, racism, marginalization, a broken treaty relationship. The cycle of crime and social exclusion is resulting in us collectively spending millions of dollars to warehouse people in facilities where instead of rehabilitating, they become hardened and in many cases involved in increasingly serious crime. So this system is not working and it's failing all of us. But we have a chance to turn this around. U.S. economist Eric Howe says a more educated and skilled Indigenous population would mean billions saved by the provincial justice, health, and social service ministries. And improving the levels of education and employment for Indigenous people would boost the provincial economy by up to $90 billion. More importantly, we can have a chance to benefit from all that these young people have to offer. Like Michael Linklater, who just this weekend led the Saskatoon 3x3 FIBA basketball team to victory in South Korea over the reigning world champions. He was named the tournament MVP, and he grew up right here. Or Summer Schofield. She's a 14-year-old squash player who is Métis, and she's ranked second in Saskatchewan in the under-19 category. And I played squash with her on Saturday, and she wiped the floor with me in a 3-1 match that I'm still recovering from at the YMCA. Or young Stephen Littlepine from One Arrow First Nation, a budding entrepreneur who sold me this when I met him, at an FSIN Youth Assembly in March. This is a residential rooftop sewer vent extension kit to protect vent stacks from being covered in snow in our extended winters and trapping sewer gas in our houses. He saw an opportunity in the market and developed it as part of the Almighty Voice Education Business Club. Not a particularly sexy opportunity in the market, but a very practical one, and he's pursuing it with vigor. There's so much potential in our communities. All of the young people growing up here have the potential to be like Michael, Summer, and Stephen. And let's just think about what would happen if together we addressed the cycle of youth incarceration and what it would mean for our community. The answers to this are not going to be found in one program or by fixing one part of the system. They're only going to be found in a whole community approach. And we have the right conditions to turn this around because of our culture of innovation, of problem solving and collaboration that I've been talking about. Our community is becoming a recognized leader in the journey of reconciliation. In this room today, I know that many of you have been part of these efforts. 72 organizations have signed up to be part of Reconciliation Saskatoon. And just last week, at the Rotary Club, invited Kevin Lamrou from the National Center for Reconciliation in Winnipeg to engage in a discussion about how to move forwards as part of the Badge, Shield, and Star event. And I see Jack Brodsky here, who was there greeting me at that event, and I thank you for your leadership in this area, Jack. One way we can move forward from words to action on reconciliation is to tackle some of these issues of youth incarceration together. We have a new premier, a new police chief, Troy Cooper, who was introduced earlier, who I'm happy to work with, a new tribal council chief, a new health authority, a new mayor. Relatively speaking, I'm the old guy around the table with a lot of these groups. A lot of new leaders who are looking and talking about how are we going to work on this together. And I'm going to be meeting with many of them and other decision makers in the coming weeks to find a way forward. We have a chance to make progress in this area, but we're going to need to, along with these institutions, all work together with you as the business leaders in the community to figure out the barriers in place to employment for people and create a successful pathway to get there. So in closing, Saskatoon has been a city that has been gaining attention and making a place for ourselves on the international stage. We will continue to thrive if we're being ambitious about building a great city on these three dimensions. Building a well-planned city with great quality of life and a thriving downtown. Building a thriving economy positioned to succeed in a rapidly changing world. And ensuring that everybody has a chance to share in these opportunities. It is invigorating to be the mayor of your city at this time. This community inspires me every day. And yesterday, at Evan Thomas's memorial at Saskatoon Centre, the family handed out these little hockey sticks. The saying that the Thomas family chose as a message for the thousands of people at the event was, "Play for the name on the front, not the one on the back." The only way we will achieve our potential as a city is to work together to build the strongest team possible. So I invite you to go out, build relationships with people who think differently, come up with the innovations we need to address the challenges we face, build partnerships with unexpected allies, find the common ground. Let's all work together to build our city's future for the generations to come. Thank you very much.